Hey guys, today I want to talk about victimhood from kind of like a different angle than you'd typically hear about. More the noise, my cat Jennifer's messing in the blinds. But oftentimes I'll see people be like, for example, this person took everything from me. They just kept doing this to me. They took all of me. It's their fault that I'm in this place in my life. It's their fault that I'm this, this, and this. Sorry about my bangs, guys. They like dried funny. Anyway, it's their fault. I'm this. It's this person's fault. I'm this way. It's this person's fault because they abused me. They took from me. They did all of these things. Like, it was because of them that I didn't start this or do this. And when in reality, yes, that can be true. It's kind of our own responsibilities to kind of like turn around and think, wait, no, how do I have play in this? How did I hand over myself to this person and allow them to do this? What? Like, you have to like turn it around and be like, how did I actually allow this? Because at the core of it, things can be our faults. And I know that's the last thing you want to hear. So you've been in so many abusive relationships, you've been in so many abusive friendships, so many things. And you're just like, everybody took this from me, everybody did this to me, everybody did all these things. But at the end of the day, I want you to kind of reframe this and think of it in a more empowering direction and say, how did I let this person do this? Again, not saying you are to blame, because we don't realize these things, we don't know these things, we're not taught to look at things from this angle. But it's like, look at it and go, what in myself allowed me to allow this person like to abuse me the way they did? Like, was it an empty feeling that I needed somebody or this person to fill this void in me? Did I need this person to feel okay? Did I need this person's validation? And like, what was the reason I kept going back for? What was the reason I allowed this behavior for? Because have you ever met that one person who they get out of a toxic relationship only to go right back into another one that's similar or toxic in its own way, over and over again, and they're constantly crying out, they're like, oh my gosh, this happened to me again and again and again. And you always just like, they keep coming back and you keep giving them sympathy, but at some point you got to stop and go, do you want to be in this situation? Have you not learned? Have you not realized that you're not going to get anything from going back and staying with people who do these things? It's not necessarily about it's not about being a victim, but like seeing these things and just automatically being in a state where you're like, ew, no, I'm not gonna be with this person and they treat me this way. The second they show the signs, hold on. The second they show you who they are, and the second they show you they don't actually care for you and their actual intentions, like to abuse you in such ways. And you know, whenever you're full in yourself and you're not willing to accept that at all, like, you have this state of identity that you're standing still in, where you're like, no, people don't treat me this way, I don't accept it. You're not going to continue to be abused like that. You're not going to be continue to be abused. And I'm not victim blaming in any way, because we all have to learn somewhere, unfortunately. Not all of us are kind of just like popped out of the womb like, oh, I know what I'm going to tolerate in my life, and I know this, and this, I know how I'm going to let people treat me. The sad reality is that no, we are not born like that. But I want you to, sometimes we are put in situations where we don't have a choice but to be in these toxic, negative environments, like with parents if we're young, for example, if we're underage, or whatever it may be. But whenever it's in your control, like, you have to like shift your perspective and like, see, how can I be empowered in this? How can I take the control and put it in my hands, opposed to giving away my power to every single person around me and then crying to everybody that I'm the victim, you know? And again, in no way am I victim blaming, or am I saying you're awful for letting this happen, or you let these things happen, because I've been in these situations. I was in an awful living situation growing up. I've been cheated on. I've been abused in many friendships and relationships in my life. And I was letting myself, essentially, like, I would, of course not when I was younger and I didn't know any better, because when we're younger, sometimes when our self-worth is so low, we just can't see that we do deserve better, or that like we view things in such a weird, convoluted way. It's like, you don't feel like you have another option, but you do. You always have another option. No person deserves to be in a relationship where they're being abused, they're being mistreated, because a relationship is supposed to actually be a bonus. You're not supposed to depend on that. You don't need that. You don't need that validation. A relationship, again, a bonus. It's supposed to be a gift, an extra thing in your life, a privilege. And you don't need to have these relationships with the people who are abusing you, because what's the point of being in a relationship with somebody or having a friendship with somebody that you're miserable in, that you're constantly being just thrown around and abused in, that you're just constantly upset and you're constantly in these awful positions, and you're a victim in them. You don't have to be in these relationships. Relationships aren't supposed to be that. Relationships aren't supposed to be like an obligatory thing, these kinds anyway, these abusive ones. This is your life, you can customize this. Actually, you can cut people out whenever they're like this. You can not talk to these people, and it can be really difficult depending on your childhood, because again, I know I stayed in relationships or I went back to relationships that I was cheated on in, because I just quite literally didn't know that I could have it, like I had the option to have it better. And we don't realize this a lot of the time. It's actually pretty crazy. But you need to look at your abusive friendships, your abusive relationships, and think, wait, why am I allowing this whenever this person does not need to be in my life? Like, your life isn't supposed to be stressful. Your life is not supposed to be stressful. This is a gift. You're here to enjoy yourself. You're here to have a nice time. You're here to have fun. And you're over here letting yourself letting yourself be abused by these people. Again, not victim blaming. I'm not saying you're a bad person for being a victim, but you have to kind of look inward at some point and go, wait, what in me has been allowing this the entire time? I'm allowing these people to treat me this way. I'm allowing the people who view me like BS to stay in my life and to continue treating me as such, because that's just, where does it add up? Like, Again, I'm not victim blaming. I've been in these positions. I've been in these positions where I've let people treat me awful, awful, awful ways. And it's really so empowering when you realize you can simply cut people out. And I don't mean this from like the perspective of every single time somebody makes you upset to cut them off. Sometimes I'm saying look inward. You have to look inward and see if the whole, scenario is logical. You have to see, well, am I doing something to upset this person? Obviously communication. My biggest thing ever, communication. Talk to people. But if they're blatantly being awful and disrespectful and just terrible to you, cut them off. You don't need to have that person in your life. Your life is not meant to be, it's not meant to be a burden. It's not meant to be something you begrudgingly deal with. These people are supposed to be bonuses in your life, or they're supposed to be making your life better. They're not supposed to be burden. You're not supposed to be carrying those trash bags on your back, because again, it's your life. And oftentimes we think we don't have an option. We think that this is the best I can do. This is the best I can deal with. That is so untrue. There's always going to be people who would treat you better, and there's always going to be people who would treat you bad. I saw a really silly TikTok earlier, actually, and this girl, she's like, okay, imagine you pull up to a fast food restaurant and you say, I don't want pickles on my burger, and you get the burger and you realize there's pickles on it, so you throw them away, and then the pickle comes out the trash saying, no wait, you forgot me, you left me. And then think of yourself as that pickle, going back to that awful person, going back to that situation. Like, first off, this person knows they don't like pickles. They threw you out, and you came back crawling. You crawled back. First off, how embarrassing is that? No shame. I'm just saying, how embarrassing is that? And second off, you're just not for this person. There's always going to be people who treat you better. And say the person who doesn't like pickles probably doesn't, maybe they don't like them because they're going to abuse them or something. Like, very bad analogy, very bad add-on to the analogy, but just think about that. You don't need to be in the people's lives who are abusing you. That's silly. And again, I'm not saying that anytime somebody is awful to you, to leave them at the drop of a hat. You, of course, communicate, talk things out, and like try to work things out. If things don't work, then you leave. Unless, of course, they're just being blatantly abusive. Leave. You don't have to have these people in your life. You don't have to have these situations in your life. You don't have to be a victim. Go and make your life better. Your life is a reward, not a burden. Your life is a reward. So stop being a victim and start thinking, okay, well, I feel awful. I feel all these terrible things. I feel this. What can I learn from it? Because obviously I'm getting these bad feelings for a reason. Obviously there's a situation to be cleared up. What can I learn from it? What can I take from it? And how can I move forward? How can I get over this? Should I communicate and learn something new and accommodate? Or do I leave this person? Because sometimes we are supposed to accommodate, have duality, you know? Communicate with people and respect boundaries. Other times we just need to leave people. You just need to leave that person. Because if they're not treating you right, what are you doing? If they're repeatedly making you feel awful, maybe you have nightmares about this person because it's so ingrained in your subconscious that this person is a stressful person to you, leave. I can't stress this enough. Leave. Because let me tell you, I've had this person who I was attached to for 6-7 years. I moved away from the general vicinity they were in, and then I started having nightmares about them and realized almost every single time I think about this person, I get stressed out. So I realized I just quite literally had to leave the friendship because I just had to leave the relationship because it was like, why am I torturing myself by keeping this person in my life? This person who's never quite treated me right ever, who's never made me feel good, who's never made me happy. And okay, you don't even need to if somebody just doesn't make you feel good, they just don't make you feel good and they're just like shitty to you or whatever it may be, you can leave even without communicating. You don't have to stay. If you weigh out the pros and cons and see I feel terrible around them much more often than I feel good around them, you can leave too. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be a victim of life. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I think I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent, kind of off topic, so yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. Anyway, bye guys, peace. You don't have to be a victim in your life. There's always another option. There's always more people that'll care about you. There's always something, guys. Bye.